Hello, I'm TheZOMBIEJ, and I want to talk about Spybotics. Spybotics is an interesting LEGO theme of remote-controlled buildable vehicles that you, well, it had a spy program as well, which was interesting. And basically, you control it and make it drive. It has a built-in camera, and you have it spy on your sister, for example, or your parents. I'm not even gonna make that joke. Or your dog. I don't know. Point is, it's an interesting concept, and the vehicles themselves used Bionicle parts recolored. Like that's where we got the golly hooks in silver for the first time, I think. And then those were used for Nevok, which was cool. So I'm grateful for that. Spybotics also introduced the Borak Eye in a trans purple that is not as good. It's decent for the most part. I mean, it's rare and I'm glad it exists, but there's a better trans purple Borak Eye out there that's a bootleg that is an absolutely better, it's more saturated and it just looks better. So go grab yourself some of those before they're taken off of wherever they're being sold. And so the Spybotics stuff, the vehicles looked interesting for the most part. They definitely, some of them felt more like messes in a way, but I feel like these are just experimental vehicles. I think for the most part they were all on, wheels with rubber tires. But I think there was one that was like a tracked vehicle at one point. I don't know if that's even true, but hey, the Manas were remote controlled and they were on tracks, so why not do that for Spybotics as well? Makes sense to me. But there was some corrugated tubing as well. There were other corrugated bits. There was overall a lot of unique and interesting parts being used for Spybotics, and I never had a Spybotics set, but I've seen pics of them, and wow. The 2000s definitely had some of the most interesting LEGO sets in Technic, in construction, and in, well, other lines that are not strictly system-based. These were interesting builds too. I feel like if I owned one of these sets that I would enjoy the build, but I don't own one of these sets and I never have and I probably never will. Because, I mean, what's the point? I've seen them. I think they look great. Obviously there are folks that remember Spybotics fondly for the gimmick, let's be honest, but also for the recolors and also just the concept, The concept is very gimmicky, but it's a good gimmick sometimes. But the technology is so old that you can't even use it anymore nowadays. You're better off just, using the parts. Either that or just disabling the camera function. I think it has a camera function. And just, making it drive across your floor or have a race with these vehicles. They're interesting ideas that went into these builds. The main central core, I think, is this little box thing that you build off of, and that's where the motor is, I think, and there's a sensor thing at one point that links up to the remote control. I think it's infrared too, so which infrared was apparently one of the worst ways of transferring data, so good luck doing that with the Game Boy Color. Transferring data from a Game Boy Color to another Game Boy Color, yeah. Good luck with that nowadays. It's farcically slow. So The Spybotics theme used a lot of Bionicle parts. Obviously, it used Borak eyes. It used the Golly claws. It used corrugated bits that you see on the Exotoa and Kadak and Gadak. And there were other parts that I'm probably not remembering, but there are interesting ideas that went into these designs. They look like something that you can pull out a briefcase, put together, and make it go zoom, and probably see what everybody's up to. This was an interesting way to have fun. It really was. And overall, the Spybotics line was something that was not long-lasting at all. It lasted for the shortest period of time possible, and that's because it was costing Lego money to make those remote controls, to make those battery boxes or whatever, those motors. It really was more costly to make these sets than it was for them to just, put the money towards more Bionicle sets or some other line. So ultimately, this theme sort of failed in that regard because it was costing Lego too much money, and there was not enough demand for these sets anyway. There was arguably plenty of demand for these sets, but it feels like that was all it was false demands because nobody really cared about these, did they? Well, some people did, and well, more power to them. But at the same time, this was a line that I don't think a lot of people really cared about. They just cared about it because it's a Lego theme and that it had some ties with Technic. That's to be respected because Technic is amazing. There's a lot of great vehicles in Technic. So this felt like kind of a spin-off of the Technic theme, and as a result of that, Spybotics. Interesting stuff. There was talk about it in Lego catalogs and Lego magazines. There was like advertisements in the club magazines, and there was advertisements aplenty. There are video advertisements that you can find on YouTube probably. Go look that shit up. It's fucking weird. And I feel like that this theme wasn't as heavily promoted or marketed enough, because it fills a specific niche market, and that is kind of balls, to be honest. I feel like that Spybotics could have fulfilled a demand if the demand was truly there, but unfortunately it just was not. And as a result, this theme failed and didn't last beyond the year it was originally unleashed in, which I think was like 2002 or 2003. I don't remember. Point is, Spybotics, while it was interesting and it was great to get more parts for your collection or to build your own Spybotic mock sort of vehicle thing, ultimately this franchise, if you want to call it that, failed, and you can't buy the sets anymore and expect them to work flawlessly. Obviously, they're old. Those are old motors, and they're not going to work flawlessly. You're going to have to spend some time and some brain cells to tinker with those motors and make sure they actually work. You might have to desolder some wires and resolder in some new wires, and just kind of fix everything. And that's time consuming. Nobody wants to do that unless you're one of those tinkerer types, if you're ones to do that and have fun just looking at the electronic bits. If you're one of those, if you're so inclined to do that, well, okay, more power to you. But at the same time, not everybody's going to do that. The casual passerby is just going to ignore all this and just have it sit on the shelf, and nobody wants to do that. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to just let the vehicle sit on a shelf with its remote and just collect dust. Nobody wants that. That's stupid. You want to have fun controlling this thing around and making it, you know, go across your carpet or your hardwood floors and probably scratch the hardwood floors, and then your mom would get pissed at you for doing so. And yeah, so again, I never had these sets, but I recognize the potential in this theme, and that's the thing. This theme had potential. It's just another one that didn't have enough of a potential, and it wasn't fully realized. See what I'm saying? It's a theme that was embraced by few. Let's say that. My mouth is dry. I need some tea. Overall, when it comes to Spybotics, you can't really say much without mentioning the gimmick, because the gimmick is, well, it's a gimmick, and it's an interesting one, but it's just kind of worthless nowadays, since now we've got drones and stuff like that. And Lego hasn't really done anything with that idea yet, but why would they? So yeah, Spybotics. Was it a good line? Was it a bad line? Or was it somewhat mid? I like to say it's in between. It's in the mid section. It's good and bad. It had promise, you know, there were some promising ideas here, but like, it looked good on paper, but in execution, leaves a lot to be desired, really. Some of the designs felt a bit generic too. Like, it felt like they were just tacking on the Bionicle parts just because they could, which that's not what you want. You want the Bionicle parts to fulfill a specific, I guess, a specific role in this in the designs of the vehicles, and they didn't do that. They just felt like they were just tacked on because they can, and that's not okay. That really isn't. I mean, yeah, it makes them look cool, but overall, the hell? I mean, really. Spybotics lasted only for the year that it was released in, and as a result of that, didn't go on any further as far as I'm concerned. By the end of the year, I'm pretty sure it was taken out of circulation, and they canceled the theme. I'd have to say it was poor sales by the end of the year, because nobody wants those for Christmas, do they? Of that year, when they were released that year, chances are when they were released that people actually bought them. So, I mean, really, what's the point? What's the point of these vehicles nowadays? Well, the point is the experience. You know, if you have experience with these things back when they were released, you can definitely go back and buy these and relive that experience. You know, it's that nostalgia that really gets you every time. So, but if you are a crafty individual and you want to experiment a little with these, take them apart and use the parts to build something fantastic, or combine these and do something interesting there. There's a lot of ideas that can be formed by just taking these things apart and seeing what you can do with them. I mean, those battery boxes are, well, they have their limitations. Those motors, they have their limitations. They can only be used for vehicle sort of things, or for a spinning arm type of idea. So, and that can only go so far, unfortunately. Overall, Spybotics. Was it good? No. Was it bad? equally? No. Again, it's in between. It's average, for the most part. It's really not that great. I mean, it had promise. It felt like it could have stood toe to toe with other Technic lines. Not Bionicle though. But you know, it's just another theme that Lego shot out because they wanted more money. That's all it is, really. That's all it is anymore. Lego shot out this theme because they were looking for any kind of excuse to make money. And unfortunately, that seems like it's more noted nowadays than it is in passing. So, I feel like Spybotics was just another one of those cash grabby ideas that are plaguing companies nowadays. I mean, Hasbro has been doing this for years now with Fortnite blasters and Dungeons and Dragons blasters. I mean, what the fuck? So, yeah. Hasbro's definitely gone down the shitter in recent times. I might talk about them in another video, but I'll save that for another day. Maybe even tomorrow. We'll see. So, I hope you all enjoyed this video. What are your thoughts on Spybotics? Let me know in the comment section below. Was it good to you? Was it bad to you? Was it also in between like it is for me? Let me know in the comment section below. And what was your favorite Spybotic vehicle? Thank you all for watching. I am TheZOMBIEJ. I'll see you folks there. Have a good fucking day, and peace.